You're 29 years old. You're good at your job. Not average good, not lucky good. The kind of good where your mistakes are small enough that no one talks about them and your wins are consistent enough that people stop questioning you. Your managing director doesn't sit through your presentations anymore. At first you thought that was disrespect. Then you realized something else. He trusts you enough to leave. That's when you understood you're valuable. You work at a mid-sized asset manager, about $4 billion under management, 60 positions, 8 of them are yours. Every morning you walk in before sunrise. The office is empty, lights half on, screens already glowing. You open 3 monitors. One for earnings, one for news, one for your models. You start reading. Companies explaining why they performed the way they did. Executives using different words to say the same thing. Analysts writing notes that feel detailed but change nothing. You've done this long enough to see patterns. You think you understand the system. Markets aren't perfect, but they're efficient enough. Your job is simple. Find where they're slightly wrong. Exploit it. Move on. That belief holds until a Tuesday in October. The call comes in right before market close. Unknown number. You almost ignore it. You don't. The voice is calm, not friendly, not cold, just controlled. He says his name is Garrett Whitmore. Family office. A few billion in private assets. They own a large stake in one of your companies. He wants to meet before earnings. You say yes without thinking too much about it. You tell yourself it's just another investor conversation. It's not. The building doesn't have a sign. The elevator doesn't move without a card. The floor doesn't open without another one. You realize something immediately. This is not a place designed to attract attention. It's designed to avoid it. Whitmore is already in the room when you walk in. No assistant, no introductions, no small talk. He pours water without asking. Then he puts a folder in front of you. You open it. It's your work. Your last 3 reports. But they're not clean. They're marked. Notes in the margins. Questions you didn't think to ask. Assumptions you didn't realize you made. Someone has been studying how you think. And they've been doing it carefully. That's the moment you understand something uncomfortable. You're not here to present. You're here to be evaluated. He looks at you and says something simple. We're not selling. You don't hesitate. That's your training. That's your job. You explain why that doesn't make sense. The stock has performed extremely well. Valuation is stretched. There are better opportunities elsewhere. This is basic portfolio management. He doesn't interrupt. He lets you finish. Then he asks one question. Walk me through the tax. You pause. Because that's not where you expected this to go. But you answer. Capital gains. Federal. Additional investment taxes. State taxes depending on where you sit. You do the math out loud. Roughly 30% disappears the moment you sell. Gone. Not temporarily. Permanently. He nods. Then he slides a document across the table. A lending facility. Low interest. No sale. No tax event. Liquidity without exiting. You don't say anything. Because you're trying to understand what you're looking at. Everything you've been taught says profit is realized when you sell. But this creates cash without selling. You leave the meeting with more questions than answers. That night you go back to your model. You strip it down. No assumptions you can't justify. 2 scenarios. Same asset. Same return. Same timeline. 30 years. One version sells, pays the tax, reinvests. The other holds, borrows, and compounds. You run the numbers. Then you run them again. Because it doesn't look right. The difference isn't small. It's not incremental. It's the kind of gap that changes what a family looks like decades from now. Not because one investment was better. Because one decision removed friction and the other accepted it. You sit there longer than you planned to. Staring at numbers that are too obvious. That's what bothers you. It's not complicated. It's not hidden. It's just not taught. And then you realize why. Because this doesn't help most people. It only matters once you're already in a certain position. The next year, everything starts to look different. You stop seeing portfolios. You start seeing structures. Assets held through layers of entities. Ownership split across trusts. Investments chosen not just for return, but for how they behave under tax, under leverage, under time. It's not random. It's designed. You meet another family. Older wealth. Third generation. They don't talk about markets. They talk about control. Assets that don't depend on sentiment. Infrastructure. Utilities. Networks. Things people don't stop using just because the economy slows down. They call it permanent income. At first you think it's just branding. Then you watch how they make decisions. An offer comes in for one of their assets. Large number. Clean structure. Fast closing. In your world, that's success. Here it barely registers. They don't ask who the buyer is. They don't debate valuation. They ask one question. What can we borrow against it today? That's when something shifts permanently. They're not trying to exit. They're trying to stay connected. You used to think assets were things you trade. Now you're starting to see them as systems you plug into. Selling isn't just taking profit. Selling is disconnecting from something that keeps producing. But the deeper you go, the more you notice something people don't talk about. This system is not safe. It only looks safe from the outside. It works when borrowing is cheap. When interest rates are low, everything flows. But when rates rise, the math changes fast. What looked like free liquidity becomes expensive pressure. You start seeing deals that would have worked 2 years ago fail completely. Same assets, same structure, different environment. That's when you understand this isn't a formula. It's a condition. It only works when certain things are true. You also realize something else. Assets don't always behave. They're assumed to produce. But they don't have to. You see real estate portfolios struggle when occupancy drops. You see income fall while debt stays fixed. That's when leverage stops feeling like a tool and starts feeling like a constraint. You notice no one talks about this publicly because it complicates the story. And complicated stories don't spread. Simple ones do. You also start to understand access. Most people cannot do this. Not because they don't understand it. Because they're not allowed to. Banks don't lend like this without scale. Without stability. Without collateral they trust. This system is not just about knowledge. It's about position. Then you meet someone who has the opposite problem. A founder. Most of his wealth in a single stock. On paper, extremely rich. In reality, completely stuck. He can't sell without crashing the price. He can't diversify without triggering massive taxes. He has wealth but no flexibility. You build something for him. A structure that lets him move without selling. It takes months. Lawyers. Negotiations. Costs that would seem absurd to anyone outside this world. When it's done, he calls you. He doesn't sound excited. He sounds relieved. Because for the first time he has options. That's when you understand something clearly. Wealth is not just how much you have. It's how many moves you're allowed to make. The fewer your options, the less control you actually have. Even if the number looks large. By the third year, your thinking changes completely. You stop asking what to buy. You start asking how something fits. What it supports. What it enables. You see a company under pressure. Investors demanding asset sales. On paper, they're right. Valuation is high. Selling makes sense. But now you see what doesn't show up in the model. Income that disappears. Control that gets diluted. Future decisions that become harder. They restructure instead. Raise capital without selling. Keep the assets. Keep the system intact. It works. Not perfectly, but better than breaking everything apart. Now you're working on something even larger. Billions in value. Massive embedded gains. Huge tax implications. The kind of situation where one decision changes outcomes by hundreds of millions. You're building a structure that might not survive. Regulators are watching. Similar strategies are being questioned. There is no guarantee this works. And yet you keep building. Because now you understand something most people don't. There is no perfect strategy. Only better trade-offs. More controlled risks. More intentional decisions. You started your career believing the advantage was information. Or intelligence. Or timing. Now you see something harder to accept. The biggest advantage was structure. And structure is invisible. Until it is. Tomorrow, the market opens like it always does. Prices move. News flows. Opinions get published. From the outside, everything looks the same. But once you've seen this, you can't go back. Because you realize something most people never question. The game was never just about buying and selling. It was about who never had to.